What's happened, people of the interwebs? I got a special video I wanted to share with you guys today about my 74 Ironhead Sportster. Stick around. Hey, I appreciate you supporting the channel. I do have some new merch in. If you want to wear one of these cool shirts and look spiffy while doing it and supporting a good cause, please check out the link in the description for our merchandise. So many of you know that I've been working on a project that's pretty sentimental to me. It was my father-in-law's 1974 Harley Davidson XLCH 1000. So that's a Ironhead Sportster 1000 cc's. He bought it, he rode it 6 months, and his wife said, it's too dangerous, stop riding, so he parked it. First owner, 6 months, sat in the garage, and she's my mother-in-law. It's been in his garage ever since. He had it covered with a blanket. He put oil in the cylinders every year, but alas, it never ran again until about a month ago. So he gave it to me. I brought it up here and I started working on it. And honestly, it really didn't need too much to actually get back in service. This bike is essentially a time capsule from the AMF days of Harley Davidson. It had 3,500 miles on it when I first got it. I put a little bit of mileage on it so far, you know, riding it around, test driving and stuff. All I had to do was put some fresh gas in the tank. I had to rebuild the master cylinder. I had to change the brake line because it was completely full of like paraffin. I had to put new tires on it because the old ones were rock hard. And besides for that, couple kicks and she started. A lot of people on my channel say, oh, you don't like Harley Davidsons, because I do a lot of reviews on all types of different bikes, and sometimes I'm a little critical of Harleys. But you know what? I actually do like Harley Davidsons. I think they're pretty cool. They're iconic of a bygone era when really motorcycles became, you know, a personal everyday thing where a lot of people, you know, would work 9 to 5 and then load up and go out Easy Rider style. This is the bike from Easy Rider, in case you haven't noticed that yet. The only factory options that it got was a sissy bar. And again, my mother-in-law always says, oh, that was for me, I was gonna fall off. And I always say, maybe he wanted you to. But the exhaust is factory, it sounds great, rear drum brakes. The front single-sided disc is terrible at stopping, but it's a disc, and a lot of bikes in that era actually had drums. The pads on this are really funky. I had to rebuild the brake cylinder, and they call this like the pizza pie thing. Pizza pie, you like pizza? You want a pizza pie? And the brakes are actually riveted onto this little caliper piece right here. So that was kind of fun to try to fix that, but we got it. We got everything going. The factory paint is immaculate on this for being as old as it is. That is the factory paint, and it is beautiful. Even these decals look super Saturday Night Live. So, would you like to know how she runs? Let's take her for a rip. Bike is super awesome, but funny story. When my father-in-law went to get this bike from the dealer, he had the option of buying the electric start motor and the regular motor, and he opted just for the kickstart. Now, why on earth would you just go for a kickstart, right? Well, back then you were a sissy if you had electric start, quote unquote. And second off, it was $50. And if you don't get this bike started within 3 kicks when it's hot, you might as well take another 15-minute break because it ain't gonna move. Also, you have to turn the fuel off. If you don't do that, you'll wake up with a puddle of gas in the garage. Let's try it. It's alive!
Hey, can I put a retrofit start kit on this? Let me know down in the comments. Also, do you know where I can buy a heart monitor? Put it down in the comments. So for being a super old bike, the bike is super fun to ride. I kind of feel like it's a, you know, a muscle car type experience. You think about 1,000 cc's on a small frame like this, I mean, that's pretty decent, right? It has the classic Harley Davidson sound. It has the classic Harley Davidson torque curve. And it's not that slow, actually. I will tell you a couple things about this bike comparing it to newer bikes. It's heavy, very heavy. I'd actually really love to weigh it, but it's a heavy bike, and because of that, it doesn't really flick very well around a corner. But that's not what they're going for with this bike, right? This is a classic cruiser type bike that brought the Harley Davidson open road technology to the masses. This was the bike that did it. And yes, AMF kind of messed things up a little bit, but this is before they really mucked things up real bad. And this bike is fun. It's so much fun. It's a very small tank, so you really have to watch, because there's no fuel gauge obviously with the older style bikes. You just really have to watch how many miles you've driven and, you know, plan accordingly. So I usually go about 100 miles. I still can see a little bit of fuel left in the tank, but not much. So you probably could go like $1.25, but I wouldn't push it much more than that. The other thing that's fun, which isn't a complaint, but it's just the nature of the beast, is the vibrations this bike gives off. The mirror literally fell off the first time I used it. So everything that's a fastener on this bike, you have to use like blue Loctite on, or it'll end up coming loose. Also the riding position, you have mid-mount controls. They're definitely not forward like the newer Harleys. So, you know, riding a new Sportster S, I think this bike has a lot of the same characteristics. It's fun. You kind of got a rigged riding position. You can see why people chop these bikes so much, just because they're cool and they're fun. I really did like the change in handling characteristics when I put new tires on it though. The older tires obviously were quite hard and didn't really want to perform, but these new tires, I put some Dunlops on them. The bike really comes alive. I mean, it does handle actually quite well for such a sled. So it's fun. One great thing though about this bike is anytime you get gas or you pull into a roadside stop, pub, whatever, and there's other people that ride motorcycles, they immediately want to come up and ask you questions about it, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So as soon as I got this bike done and put back together and essentially just polished up, I really didn't have to do much. It's, again, surprising. They say these IRONHEAD motors are quite durable and bulletproof, and I can attest to that. You know, for 40 plus years and it not starting, and then firing it up. I mean, that's amazing, really. I did give the old bird a ride on it, and she loved it. And I mean old bird affectionately, by the way. So I really want to preserve this bike. I want to keep it original. I don't want to, you know, modify it so much. Most of these bikes you see out there have already been stretched and chopped, and they've got all these things done to them and murdered out, and those look awesome. But this thing is a specimen, and I don't want to mess with it. I mean, it's 100% original, and it's a beautiful thing that way. Now, one thing I've had to do is turn the idle up for starting. It does not like to start cold. I'm going to flip around here. So I've got the idle turned up a little bit right now, if you notice that. That's all factory exhaust. I did replace the air cleaner as well, but I didn't go anything performance, just a regular gauze over the cotton filter. You know, one cool thing about this bike too is even though it's heavy with the new tires, it handles pretty decent. It still has a lot of torque right down low. It's got that V-twin excitability factor, which Harley Davidson, you know, they've got it mastered. They've done it for years and years and years. Really amazing though when you think about it. Jump on an old bike, put gas in it, kick it over a few times, and rip it and grip it. It's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna pull back in the garage here, because one thing this bike lacks is any capacity to bring anything with you. Luggage, a toolkit, anything. You've got to carry it on your person if you want to bring anything. So I've got a friend of mine sent me some stuff I want to show you, and we're going to put it on, and we're not going to modify the bike in any way by putting this stuff on. So check it out. Let me show you what I got.
So, like I said, the only thing wrong with this bike is there's no luggage on it, not even anything to carry tools or anything. So if you take a trip, you got to bring stuff on your person. It'd be kind of cool to put some luggage on it and not really modify the bike, and that way you can run it solo or you can go on a trip. And that's what my plan was. My buddy over at Kemimoto sent me a bunch of stuff. Let's check it out. We have tool bag, saddle bags, and a tail bag. Let's get it on. So we're gonna put this on the front of the bike. This will be slick. It's got two little clasps on it, a little magnetic closure, free air, and the two little straps. This is gonna be cake to install this. I feel like I got a package from the cartel here. Oh wow, this is nice. Look at this. That'll look super slick on the back. And, oh, it has the belt buckles, but actually it has real clips on the bottom. I'm gonna throw those on. And that opens up and it's got a nice pocket inside. So let's get this on. And this is our tail bag. So that's gonna fit right on the back of the bike. Give us a little bit extra. Probably put a 6-pack in here or something of root beer. Okay, I got the luggage on. Now I'm doing this because I want to take a road trip with this bike, and again, I just don't want to have a 50-pound backpack on my back for the entire trip. So let me show you what I did. I've got the Kemimoto tool bag up front. It's really secure. I also used a zip tie just to keep it on there. That'll be great for tools and maybe like a plug patch kit. And then on the back, it's difficult because there's not a lot of room in the Sportster, but what I did was I took a pair of these saddle bags from Kemimoto and I put them on over the top of the seat instead of under, because there's those two bolts that go up underneath. And then I took this tail bag and I strapped this around underneath the seat to hold that on, as well as around the back sissy bar. So this thing is kind of helping secure this. The last thing I got to do is attach the bottom of the bag to the shock absorber. I'm just gonna wrap it around one of the little coils. That's just to keep it from flapping too much. But you can see these bags, this gives me a tremendous amount of storage on a bike, which normally would never ever have anything on it. And because I'm not attaching them under the seat, this is very easy to take off when I'm not going on a trip, and then I can put it back on when I'm ready to go overnight. So that is the modified, not so modified Sportster, and I really like this bike. Again, in the comments below, if you've got one, hit me up and tell me what you think of it. I'm kind of, you know, learning all about the old Harley Davidsons. I've never had one of these before, but I really so far am liking it a lot. It's just a fun bike. Don't worry, BMW, we're not going anywhere. Until next time, ride safe.